Welcome to the Tea with Martha, where we spill the tea on the untold truths and real struggles of entrepreneurship. I'm Martha Pachow, a fellow business owner who's learned the ins and outs of business the hard way. Get ready for unfiltered discussions on the highs, lows, and messy realities of entrepreneurship. It's time to spill the tea and vent it out with us.
Hello. Welcome back to the Tea with Martha. I'm so excited. Today's episode is something that is so near and dear to my heart, and that is #goals. Today's episode, we're going to dive into vision planning and why it's impossible to be successful without goals, a vision, and that kind of roadmap of where we want to go. So buckle up. One of the first things I think for anyone in business and in life is I think often we go through we live life on automatic, right? We wake up, we got kids to take to school, we get ourselves ready, we go to work, we come back. It's like, that second shift, or you're running around doing things that you have to do, which is fine. But I don't know about you. The days are long. I always say this, the days are long and the years are short. And so before we know it, we're mid-year and then we're end of the year and another year has passed us by. And so I think for me, the biggest thing when I really wanted to shift and change things in my life, especially in my business, the biggest pivotal indicator of that or of that future success is really setting those goals. And I am such a big proponent of it because it has worked in my life. And there's just nothing other than if you're not writing your goals, if you're not setting a plan, it's very rare that things will just happen by chance. I think when we really have an intention and we set a focus on something, there is actually a higher chance of that happening, of that goal, rather than just thinking about it, or even worse, just wishing for something, right? So without goals, a business can drift aimlessly, and clear goals provide a roadmap. They provide a roadmap, and we direct our efforts, our resources towards that desired outcome that we're searching for. It also prevents us from wasting time or wasting our efforts on minutia or non-essential tasks. And so it's definitely provides us this right direction. So number one, direction and focus. That's just where we have to start off. Our first step is having a direction and a focus so that we don't aimlessly just cruise through life. Two, it provides us engagement and motivation. We start setting these goals, and as we achieve these goals, or maybe the small goals, it builds this momentum and it motivates us. It's kind of like, I don't know if about you, but when you're on a diet or your goal is to lose weight, or you're working on this health goal, it might take a minute, but when you start seeing some results, even if they're minor, it motivates us, right? And so it's the same thing. We really want to create and build that muscle of goals. And it's a psychological contract, if you will. It's a commitment that leads us to increase efforts, and we keep striving to achieve and work on those goals. So two, motivation, right? We need motivation to achieve those goals. Three, measurable progress. I always say you can't manage what you don't measure. So measuring something is because you need where you're at, point A, and you want to measure point B, your goal. So without goals, what are we measuring? Right? So we want to measure our progress. Goals provide specific metrics. They provide a specific evaluation for our progress. So what that means is if I know that I want to increase my sales, so by a number. Now, a really important thing about goal setting is that they have to be very clear, measurable. They have to have parameters. So, for example, if I know my goal is to revenue, let's just say for easy numbers, $1 million. I know that my sales, we need to hit $1 million. And let's say, depending on where you're at, right, it has to be, I would say, attainable, but a little beyond what you feel like you can attain. So let's say you're at 100,000 and you want to increase your revenue to a million, which is attainable, but maybe it might not be within a month, right? That seems a little far off. And if you can also kind of go back to history, like, okay, well, how long did it take me to get to a 100,000? And what have I learned in the process? And who do I need to be to get to a million? Because that seems like a big step, which is exactly where we want to be. So maybe it's a million by the end of the year, or a year from year over year from wherever that month, we're in April. So let's say from here to next April, you're currently at 100,000. And by next year, you want to be at a million, or maybe within the next 2 years at a million. And so we start working our way towards measuring our monthly increase. So that allows for real time feedback. We can take corrective action on what we need to adjust and do more of, less of, what's working, what's not working. And again, it provides us measurable motivation. So you can make informed decisions or data driven decisions rather than shooting from the hip or from our intuition, which is good, but it might have been the thing that got you to the startup, to that $100,000, number, but it may not be the thing that gets you to that million, right? And so again, goals are something that are far beyond what we feel like we could attain today ourselves. And so it's cool to evolve and grow. And as the book says, what got us here won't get us there. And so we have to constantly be, we have to be evaluating ourselves. And next reason why is you need to prioritize and allocate your resources, right? And resources are our time, which is the most precious resource. Our investment, where are we putting our funds and resources in? Of course, that energy and focus. So in business, it's really easy to work hard and not smart. I mean, I will attest to that from being a bootstrapping startup. I couldn't afford to hire and, delegate a bunch. And so I had to do everything. And it often becomes just busy work, right? And so while I think that that is really important for startups, especially when you're bootstrapping it, it can't be like that forever. And I also think that's part of the journey, if I'm being really, really honest. I think in today's, Instagram, TikTok world, and all these YouTubers and just really just promoting this like get rich quick, look at me on my jet, which by the way, most often they're like they just, you know, rent them by the hour to take a photo shoot, but not all of them, but some of them. And so I think everybody wants this quick fix, this idea that, we could just fast track our success and become millionaires overnight. The reality is, the real tea is it takes a lot of grit, it takes a lot of grind, it takes a lot of really getting out of your own way, putting that ego aside and just saying, "All right, I'm ready to roll up my sleeves. What do I need to do to get myself to that goal or that number?" Right? And so I think again, we want to do what we have to do. We don't want to stay there forever. We want to continue to evolve as the business evolves so that we could become the actual business owner and involve ourselves. And so really prioritizing. And again, I would set a time frame, if you know that you have to do all these tasks and wear, 20 hats, great, like get it done. But then also a goal could be to by a certain timeline to grow out of that. And I think that's really key as well. Goals really aid in that innovation and growth, right? When you start putting on this thinking hat, all these comments and ideas that we have of maybe telling ourselves, well, no, we can't do that. No, well, this and that and the other, because it's like we make excuses, right? But if you say, hey, I have this goal of 1 million, and by let's just say a year from now, and you have to really innovate. You have to really think outside of the box. You have to really say, I am not going to just make excuses of why that can't be. I have often, when we've had these goals that seemed out of our reach, I would say, okay, we're thinking out of the box, right? Like, burn the box. I don't even want a box. Let's have this fishbowl of ideas. And I would get with my team. Early on, it was with myself. My husband, would just kind of throw all these ideas out and make a list of all the possibilities, as crazy as they would sound at the time or feel. Like, no way, right? I remember saying things, throwing out numbers or throwing out ideas and thinking like, oh my God, that's like so bogus. Like, that'll never happen. And then I had to train myself to not tell myself these things. And so that's a whole other episode of mindset and shifting the things we say, the things we think, because they're so powerful. But really just putting on that innovation hat of what are some ideas we could do? What are some strategies that will drive this growth and these sales? And it's just a continuous journey of improvement, but it is vital to the lifeline of a business. The last point I would say is succession and stability, right? Finally, our goals are this fundamental just idea that it goes beyond us, beyond that founder, beyond the startup. That as we grow, we're really also grooming others, and we're creating this synergy of growth and constant up leveling of our skills and developing ourselves. I know that, as I built up my competencies as a business owner, so I went from, being a teacher to then starting my home business and had to learn a lot of things there, right? I had to wear many hats. That's just kind of by nature because my business was so much smaller, and it was very passion driven. I love what I did. And then when I realized that I really wanted more and that I could do more and that I was good at doing this thing, I started setting these goals, and they really felt unattainable. I'm not going to lie. Like, in hindsight, there was no way in my mind that I could achieve it, but I was like, I don't care. This is still a goal. This is going to be my BHAG goal. I want to have I want to have a school one day. That was my big goal. And so really just believing in that. And as that happened, then I needed to build the team, And so as I wanted this long-term vision of, okay, well, then I accomplished this one school. Well, then I could do two. I mean, if I did one and I learned, that was like the hardest part of going uh, from a home business into an actual business itself, where it was a commercial building and it had all these nuances that I had no idea, payroll taxes and workers' comp and all these labor laws and compliance, licensing compliance with the state, and just all these different intricacies that I had zero idea were going to come with the package. But as I needed to learn that and increase those competencies, I continued to become a better boss, a better supervisor, a better leader, and then I would attract people. Um, Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. That's just part of being in business. But when I really built that team, they were also eager to grow themselves. And so then I realized it was so far bigger than myself and what I wanted and my goals. Then I was really empowered to continue to grow so that I could also provide opportunities for this amazing team that now I'm building. And so it's this beautiful synergy of growth and providing opportunities for others as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the reason why we want to grow and evolve and have goals, it's truly, well, yes, one for you, for those that have kids to really model, hey, anything can be done, right? And then the last one would be just those around you that are linking arms with you, whether that be your part is if you have partnership, whether that be staffing, and that could be like one person, it could be 10 people, it could be 100 people, right? It looks different for everyone, but having this goal and having a dangling carrot, if you will, it is so important for the hard days when you want to give up, when you're crying in a corner, or you're thinking, second guessing yourself if you could actually do it. And that's okay to have those moments, but it's not okay to stay there. And so just getting up, dusting off our knees and rolling up our sleeves and saying, you know what, I can do this. And I have to meet this goal. And then what happens is you meet that goal that felt unattainable and you get motivated to continue to make these goals. And then you find that as the goals become bigger, as the numbers become bigger, you need more help. And so you actually, I mean, this happened for me. I knew that if I wanted to continue on this growth journey, I needed reinforcements. I needed so much support. I needed so much mentorship. There was no way that I could continue to go at this pace and I have the acceleration that it would be on my own. So, when you have one and you have two locations or offices or whatever it is you may have, you have this capacity. But when you have to multiply yourself rapidly, it's like you need to surround yourself and learn from the people that have done it. I don't want to say the secret sauce, but in a way they do. Like they just that sharing of, hey, this is what worked, this is what I did, and let me tell you how to do it. That mentorship is key and pivotal to acceleration. And so that's what I did. I mean, I think, again, get out of our own way and ask for help. When people say ask for help, that is a big, big piece of it is getting uncomfortable with making an investment. And I personally like working with people that have done the thing that I'm hoping to do, right? Whether it be my industry or not. Early on, I did a lot of industry things and I still do that. You gotta stay fresh. But then I kind of got out of that and really just wanted to know, like, what do business people at large, how do they do it? What do they do? Like other industries, you start really just putting your business hat on rather than the teacher and the industry niche specific. And I think there's value in both. But I knew that I needed to evolve far beyond my niche if I wanted to have these multi-site operations and go from literally 200,000 to a million to 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 to 10 million. Those are big numbers, right? And those amount of zeros means it requires a lot of heads. That's I always equate like, okay, you add another zero to that number, to that goal. That means I'm adding all these many more employees. That means I'm adding all these more layers of complexity. As you increase people. So like when you go from a team of 1 to 2, you increase complexity by 50%. If you go from 2 to 4, I mean, you're increasing complexity 100%, right? Like think about the acceleration of our complexities. And usually our systems and our skill sets aren't keeping up, which means that's when the overwhelm comes and we're hitting this glass ceiling. You're like, I don't understand why this is happening. I don't understand why it's so hard, because humans are complex and things are hard sometimes when it's new. And I found every time I hit a glass ceiling and I had some mentorship, I had some coaching, I was able to break through, work through that, and then move on to the next. And I've evolved as my skills evolved, but I've never stopped getting help. I mean, I can tell you that goal setting was the first thing that propelled that in my life, of understanding I was in over my head and there was a reason why I felt overwhelmed, because I didn't know certain things. And I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars at this point, and I don't regret it one bit, because it's the very thing that allowed me to meet and exceed my goals and also provide others opportunities to meet their goals. And so to me, the ROI has just been so crazy worth it. So yeah, so if you're listening to this and you're super interested and intrigued at how you can set goals, how can you be successful, whatever industry, whether you're in childcare, whether you in another service business, just know that it is possible. And I have a free guide on my website called Tame the Chaos. And it's really just a guide to get you through setting some goals. And it is a great worksheet to kickstart some of these things we've just talked about. So if this piques your interest and you would like a little bit more, go onto my website. I will link everything down below in the episode. You can go to marthapichau.com. That's MarthaPicciao .com. marthapichau.com. And you can download Tame the Chaos. I hope this has been very helpful. So just to reiterate, I wanted to remember 1, direction focus, 2, motivation, 3, measurable progress, 4, prioritize and allocate resources and time in the right space. And you want to also create this atmosphere and mentality and just a standard in your own life, in your company, of innovation and growth. Like, what do you need to do? Who do you need to become to make these dreams a reality? So in conclusion, I just want you to know that everything starts and ends with you, the owner, the founder, the operator, and the importance of goal setting. Believe me, it is not overrated. Stay focused. Goals are not only just to meet a metric, and it's not only about the numbers. It's really about who you become and who you become in that process. And it's just an instrument of building resiliency and innovation, getting out of your own ego. It really just increases your chances of success. So cheers to you, wishing you all the success in the world, and pinkies up.
Thank you for joining me on another episode. If you enjoyed today's tea, make sure to follow, rate, and leave a review. Stay connected with us on social media at The Tea with Martha for updates and behind-the-scenes moments. Remember, every woman's story is a sip of inspiration, and together we're brewing success. This is Martha signing off. Cheers!